Night terror. The night was dark and cold, the kind that is usually remembered for a lifetime. My heart pounded loudly in my chest, amplifying every sensation of fear. A sudden pain in my stomach appeared out of nowhere, like a warning of impending doom. The feeling that someone was following me didn't leave for a minute, making my heart beat faster. I decided to go outside, hoping that the fresh air would dispel the unpleasant sensations. But as soon as I stepped outside, the house plunged into complete darkness. The light went out in an instant, as if someone had flipped a switch. At that moment, I heard the sounds of shattering dishes coming from the kitchen. The noise was so loud and sudden that I flinched. Fear filled me from head to toe. I stood on the porch, feeling cold sweat trickle down my back. My mind raced with thoughts what to do: run or go back and see what happened. Finally, overcoming the fear, I stepped back into the house. With every second, the feeling of horror intensified. Turning on the flashlight on my phone, I made my way to the kitchen. The whole house was so cold it felt like the temperature had dropped below freezing. A shiver ran through my bones, making it nearly impossible to move. When I finally turned on the light, I saw a terrifying scene. Shards of dishes were everywhere, cupboards were open, and things were scattered on the floor. It looked as if a hurricane had swept through the house, destroying everything in its path. Scratch marks were visible on the walls, as if someone or something had tried to break free. My heart pounded even harder when I noticed a huge shadow in the corner of the room. It was a creature, over 2 meters tall, with terrifying yellow eyes. It stood and stared directly at me, unblinking. Its eyes glowed in the darkness like 2 burning coals, piercing my soul. My mind refused to believe what I was seeing. With each passing moment, the creature became more and more real, and its presence caused a chilling horror. It was covered in dirty, matted clumps of fur, and sharp, razor-like teeth protruded from its mouth. My legs felt rooted to the floor, and I couldn't look away from those terrifying eyes. The creature slowly moved towards me, and I felt cold sweat trickling down my face. Suddenly, it made a strange, unnatural sound, a mix of hissing and growling, and swiftly darted towards the basement. I stood there in horror, still unable to believe this was happening. But curiosity overcame fear. I couldn't leave it like this. I slowly walked towards the basement, stepping over the wreckage of furniture and dishes. As I approached the basement door, I heard faint but eerie sounds. It seemed like the creature was breathing down there, waiting for me to descend. Gathering my courage, I opened the door and pointed the flashlight beam down. As I descended the steps, I felt the cold intensify, and my heart pounded louder. The basement was shrouded in thick darkness, the air damp and musty. In the corner of the basement, I saw those terrifying yellow eyes again. The creature stood there as if waiting for my arrival. Suddenly, it made a new, even more frightening sound and took a step forward. At that moment, I realized that my presence here was a huge mistake. The cold gripped my body, and I couldn't move. But the instinct for self-preservation took over. I dashed up the stairs, slamming the door behind me and locking it with every lock. Adrenaline drove me forward, and I ran to the house's exit, thinking only of leaving this horrific place. I spent the entire night at a neighbor's, recounting what had happened, but no one believed me. In the morning, when I returned home, I found everything in the same state: chaos, broken dishes, and scratches on the walls. The basement was locked, and I didn't dare to open it again. Since then, I no longer live in that house. Those terrifying yellow eyes haunt me in my nightmares, and I know that the creature is still there, in the basement, waiting for its next witness.